Please stand for the I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Greet your neighbor. Hey, good to see you. Very good to see you. Good job. Hey, you're in. Good to see you. Today's invitation by Pastor Stephen.
Thank you, President Israel. All right, how many people here like to fish? Yeah, I thought we have a few here. All right, so I have a short reading from The Fisherman's Guide to Life by Criswell Franklin. This is lesson 1, Carpe Diem. The trip is brief, enjoy it. A good fishing trip, like a well-cooked meal, or a high school or college career, or a well-lived life, always ends a little too soon. The Roman poet Horace understood the temporal nature of earthly things when he wrote Carpe Diem, seize the day, put no trust in the morrow. The wise person understands that every trip to the water is, in a sense, the last. Because nature is constantly changing, no person fishes the same water twice. Even if they spend a lifetime casting into a single small pond, the fish, the water, the weather are all in a state of constant flux. More importantly, the angler, him or herself, is changing with each passing day. The existential philosopher Albert Camus wrote, real generosity toward the future lies in giving our all to the present. And so it is with fishing and with life. The trip is altogether too brief. So why not savor every moment? And now in prayer. There are so many things here that we take for granted. Help us remember that life is a gift, to recognize that today is a new day filled with potential, and that we have the capacity to bring something new and unique and good into this world. Help us to be worthy instruments of service above self, giving our all in the present. Amen.
Thank you, Cal. Today, it was Columbus on business, and I hope you all had a great weekend. I do want to congratulate Shannon and Main Street on their Airstream event this weekend. It was quite the event. I got a chance to meet quite a few of them. I do hope while they were here, they left a lot of their money for their downtown vendors. They are quite an interesting group of people. Terry wanted me to pass along to you that the distribution of the flags went out to the community groups on Saturday, and we're finishing up this evening. The flags will go up this week between Tuesday and Thursday, and he wanted to be sure that we thank everyone involved as we kick off our 14th flag season. And he wanted a special thanks to Lee King and Joy Schmitz for leading the effort this year. This time it's the Secretary, Ben, and her secretary report.
Thank you, Greg. It's great to be back. As some of you know, my aunt lives in England, so I was able to visit her for the first time in 3 years, and that was very enjoyable. And I would really like to thank Katie Kogelman and Tim Swift, who subbed while I was gone. And I fully realize I'm thanking Tim Swift for throwing me under the bus, but I would have laughed too. So I really enjoyed being at the podium. We will start off with Donna Conley has the traveling microphone. We'll start off with Reinhardt.
Thank you. My guests today are my wife Emily, my sister Barbara, visiting us from Germany.
And we will go over to this side. Vince.
Thank you. We have with us today Jonathan Millay, Economic Development Coordinator for Wooster.
Shorter trip over to Tracy Carney.
My guest today is Cassie Slansky, Director of Economic Development at the WEDC.
I guess today is Patrick Schreiber. He's a Rotarian from Ashland, also moving to Wooster.
Also like to introduce Russell Robertson. It is his first official Rotary meeting, and we will award him his badge next week and welcome him for us. So thank you. I do have another announcement. You have your OLO information on the tables, and I would just like to emphasize, we all know that the Ohio Light Opera is a gem in this community, and they provide exceptional music, exceptional performances. And really what Laura Neal and her staff are providing is an experience for Rotarians. If you look at this evening, we have an exclusive to say, you know, Laura knows this. I admit I'm not a Brit Lit person. Gilbert and Sullivan is way beyond my pay grade. But Cinderella, it gives me a fighting chance. So I can follow that storyline. You know, where else am I going to see Cinderella in Worcester? So I would encourage you to consider attending, you know, maybe grandchildren, children, your neighbor kids, or just you and your spouse. It's a great event to get together with other Rotarians. So welcome visitors. Greg.
Well, welcome to our guests, Patrick, Barbara, Emily, Cassie, and Jonathan. We hope that you enjoy today's program and the Fellowship of Worcester Rotary. This time, I'd like Mary Beth Burns to come up and present her classification.
Okay. Here. There we go. Well, good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, I will say I am no stand-up act to these gentlemen who will be presenting. So I'm sorry, I won't be warming up the crowd for you guys to take over. Some of the slides that you'll see today were part of a presentation that I gave a few months ago when I presented about the Wayne Economic Development Council. So not much has changed with me since then, but we'll go ahead and a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Kent, Ohio. I was a Kent Roosevelt Rough Rider. My dad taught at Kent Roosevelt High School, so he knew well in advance when I was in trouble, which made high school years very much fun. And my mom worked at the development office at Western Reserve Academy. I am a graduate of Ashland University, yay Golden Eagles, and I'm a member of Alpha Phi sorority. And I've lived in Wayne County for more than 25 years. Career-wise, many people don't know, but I actually started as a social work, in social work positions. My first job out of college was at Star Commonwealth School for Boys. It's a residential treatment center, and I was a caseworker there for a short period of time. Not the most fun for a 21-year-old girl, but it was a great experience, and I learned a lot about the hardships that young people face back in the day. I also was a caseworker at the Stark County Jobs and Family Services, working with children, abused children, and foster care. And then my job after that, my funny story is that my mother got tired of me telling her stories about when I would go into the projects at Stark County and sometimes have to have a police escort to go in to those houses. And she was a little bit nervous about that for my safety. So there was an advertisement in the paper that Smucker's was looking for
a position to work with at-risk kids and their families. And unbeknownst to me, she sent in my resume. And thankfully, I had a great experience. I had the opportunity to work with Tim Smucker to start that program, and spent several years based out of the Boys and Girls Club in Fargo, which is not the most quiet place to have an office, but it was a great firsthand experience to see the positive impact that Boys and Girls Clubs have on those kids who need it the most. So from that position, I transitioned into the Human Resource Department at Smucker. I worked on several projects, education initiatives, community network coordinator, charitable giving, employee relations, and some staffing work. But my true passion was really writing and public relations type activities. So I transitioned into the corporate communications department and spent many years there working on media relations, company spokesperson, social media monitoring, crisis management, and various other activities as part of corporate communications. And then I finished out my career in the government relations team working on public, state, and local affairs. And then I was really excited to have the opportunity to give back a little bit more in Wayne County and be part of the Wayne Economic Development Council. This is a slide a little bit more about me personally. You can see in the top left, I think it is, that's my dog Gracie. Believe me, she loves dressing up. So that Halloween costume, it's not out of the norm to see her in many different outfits at my house. And Gracie was rescued from Canine Lifeline, which is an organization in Northeast Ohio that rescues dogs from high kill shelters and then finds their forever home for them. So Gracie's been a part of my house for 10 years now. As interest, when I was asked to speak and say something that maybe some people don't know about me, I'm an avid Abraham Lincoln collector. If you're at my house, you will see Abraham Lincoln in some form, photograph, picture, statue, with the exception of bathrooms and bedrooms, which would be just a little weird. So my family and I are avid, my family is all mostly from Pittsburgh, so we are Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins fans in our house. Sorry to those Cleveland Browns fans, but black and gold is the way our blood runs. You can see that I love to go to Broadway plays. My favorite vacation spot is Italy. My youngest niece is getting ready to go there tomorrow for 8 weeks of a study program, and I wish I was going to chaperone her, but I'm sure she would get into more problems if I was chaperoning her than if she's just there for the school program. I love to cook, even though sometimes it doesn't turn out well. And I love the Cleveland Museum of Art and special exhibits that they have there. I will attend any concert that I can fly to, and the same with you too. I've gone many places to see them. I can't pass up Shawshank Redemption if it's on the TV. So if you ever want to stop me in my tracks, just flash that movie and I'll be mesmerized. And I have 2 sisters. There we are at the Heart Walk for Akron. Looking forward to doing the Heart Walk on September 22nd for Wayne County. And I have 3 nieces who are very, very lovely and sharp, smart women. Very proud of them. As far as community involvement, I've been a member of the Boys and Girls Club board for a very long time. There's only one person who's been on the board longer than me, and that's Donna Dale Davis. If you know her, she's 91. So that's an organization near and dear to my heart. I'm a founding member of the Heartland Education Community Board Views and Heartland Point, which is unfortunately closed now, but I was proud to be part of those projects to get those initiatives off the ground. And I've also been a part of the Wayne County Community Foundation Board for several years. I'm a board member for Altman Health Foundation in Altman, Warville, the Wooster Chamber of Commerce, Main Street, Wooster, and the American Heart Association Heart Walk. And then lastly, I do want to mention, I couldn't be up here without a shameless plug for tomorrow's event. We have several members of Jobs Ohio who are going to be presenting at 10 o'clock in the morning on the Intel transaction and Intel coming into Ohio and the opportunities that that might have for Wayne County businesses to become suppliers or somehow benefit from that new business in Wayne County. So if you haven't already signed up, you can feel free to give me a call and let me know, or just show up tomorrow at 10 o'clock at Greystone. Thank you.
Other than being a Steelers fan, your resume is impeccable. This time, Chad Borman is going to introduce our speaker, although I'm not quite sure why. He really probably needs no introduction. Chad?
Thank you, Mr. Long, soon to be President Long. It's good to have you back, Lynn. It was truly a tragedy when you were here. I wish you was here to see you hear this. As Greg mentioned, our speaker today really doesn't need an introduction. Most of us know him well, but here's a little bit of information about him. Justin Starlin was born here in Wooster, Ohio. He's been active throughout our community, over his almost 20 years of professional life. He's graduated one of the finest high schools in the state of Ohio, Northwestern High School. Thank you, Adam Starr. And unfortunately, Kent State University. Justin began his career as a recognized economic development professional at the city of Worcester for nearly 10 years. He also transitioned that role for a long time, well-respected organization, the Worcester Area Chamber of Commerce, where he led that organization for many, many years. He was recognized as an innovator and a collaborator that focused on building bridges instead of tearing down walls and building walls. Not only was he named the State of Ohio's Chamber Executive of the Year in 2018, he also led our organization, the Chamber, to be one of the best nationally recognized chambers in all the country. Since then, he's assumed leadership roles in projects and initiatives ranging from large development projects like Daisy brands, bringing them to the area, and also helping smaller projects, which for our downtown has been critical. The development of the D5L liquor law. Those of you who don't know that was a hugely innovative bill that allows restaurants to serve alcohol without really doing the entire liquor laws. And then also the DORA, the downtown outdoor refreshment area, which allows us to enjoy a cold beverage while we walk around downtown, which was most important for this weekend's event. In 2020, Justin departed the chamber and entered the private sector, where he purchased Compact, a regional warehousing distribution service business, from his longtime mentor and partner, Jerry Baker. In a short time at Compact, Justin's led the company to a 2x growth in revenue, added 10 full-time employees, while adding square footage to the current 1.5 million square feet of warehouse and industrial space. Since his entry to the private sector, he has not been removed from his community service. He also is the president of the Wayne County CIC. He's active with numerous community initiatives, and most recently established a community stakeholder group that focuses on private sector initiatives that can make a positive difference in our community. It's my pleasure to not only introduce my great friend, but fellow Rotarian, and the guy that has a face for radio, Justin Starlin.
Appreciate that. You know, my time at the chamber, I did work on other things than liquor in downtown, but you know, yeah, those were important initiatives. And honestly, it's easy for me to sit up here and say, just love being a part of the community. I think that's where a lot of my drive over my professional career has been, is have a love for Wooster, and it's transitioned over to the private sector, like Chad mentioned, and most recently, the development we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about spring run development, so residential development that's going to occur here in Wooster. And before we do that, though, get into the numbers, I did want to talk just about market conditions. So who here knows that housing in Wayne County, Wooster is either an issue or it's a little pricey right now, right? Show of hands. Okay, I don't see anybody with either nod or raising the hands. Here's some things that are interesting. Median list price, look at the difference, April 2022 to April 20. The increase there, list price 240, it was 149. And you can see kind of the per square footage price, not only on a sale. I know construction is crazy high, but we've gone to $103 a square foot to $120 on average. And homes for sale, check this out, 41 in April 2020. And I had April 22 as 19. It's in the city of Worcester proper. And then median days on the market, 83 and 20. 22 days in April 22. Here's some of the houses that I thought I would highlight that are for sale. So some of these, obviously, when you start looking at the prices, a little high. I know the one off to the left that's under our Zoomers, and we hide that. Yeah, that was bought for $12,000 years ago, and was almost a tear down at the city of Worcester standards. Now it's 70 grand. So just highlighting some of those, and then also one thing that we look at is months of supply and inventory locally. And I know talking to developers, that's what we look at. 4 to 5 months of supply is average and shows that it's a healthy economic perspective from a housing market. And if you can see, look at Columbus. Columbus is obviously extremely hot market, right? Months of inventory in February was half a month, okay? And then in the national average right now, even though there's a shortage of housing, 2.2 months of inventory, and the city of Worcester is 0.5 months. So what does that mean? That means that the number of houses that are for sale divided by the number of houses that sold the last month, that gives you really a snapshot as to how your inventory is. So we have less than a month of houses on the market right now for people that are looking for houses, looking to buy. And there's many smart real estate people in this room, so I'm just trying to give a snapshot here. I did want to highlight someone who has really led the initiative in our growth at the city of Worcester is the Weaver Custom Homes. So there's been others. If we're talking about the giant in the room or the giant community, their leadership over the years on what they've done to Worcester is phenomenal. One thing that they're faced with, obviously, is that they've done such a good job that when you start looking at aerials, you can see that they've got things built out. So Merle, you've done one heck of a job over the years of building things out. This is Fairfield at the corner of Oak Hill and Highland, pretty full. We go up to the reserve at Deer Creek. I know they brought this on. I don't know how many years ago that was. I know there's been multiple phases, but they're doing a really good job of building those out. You know, you can see that this is pretty much current day. This is in the last 3 or 4 months, the aerial. And then some future, there is some opportunities for them up in the Crooked Creek area. But you can see that that has been built out. That's some development that Alan Ratliff started, and then Merle and his team took over. So just a snapshot as to really the market and showing the availability of homes. Our community, led by Mayor Brenneman, Jonathan, your leadership and economic development, you guys have done a bang up job. Look at some of the significant projects in 2014. These are just highlighting the ones that are the big ones, right? But think about how many jobs we've created. Investment has been made in the north end of the retail sector, right? What about downtown? There's been many, many jobs that have been created. These are some of the major ones over the last 8 years. And with the increase in investment in industrial and manufacturing, what does that bring on? That brings on growth through number of jobs, number of people needing to be attracted to Worcester. And when people move to Worcester, obviously the very first thing we want them to do is make a stake in the community by buying a house. Your inventory is extremely low. And that's the one thing when I was at the chamber that an assistant heard about. Man, we really want to get our employees in the community. If they're not in the community, we consider them a flight risk. At my time at the chamber, to play on that a little bit further, employment was a humongous issue, again, as far as attracting talent and having that talent land in Worcester. We want them to be part of the school district. We want them to be part of Wayne County in general, so that when they're on the weekend, right, if you go home, typically you're spending your time, your disposable income in the community in which you live. It's really important that we have the infrastructure to support our future growth. So when I left the chamber back in 2020, this was a lot of discussion on housing and affordable housing, just units in general. And while there was a couple of proposals under my tenure at the chamber, nothing quite hit. So when I left, I went to the private sector. What did I do? One thing that drove me crazy is I would drive up to Rittman, Ohio. Okay, yes, Rittman. I drive up to Rittman because they had a small development that was starting up. This is an aerial showing, you can get out my notes so I can get these dates right. I don't want to butcher this. This was September 2018 in Rittman, Ohio, okay? This is the aerial. Here is June 2019. We've got some roadway in, some houses are built, right? And then June 2020, boom, built. It was a full build out. We got something going on here, Cheryl. I screwed up. Are we, all right, are we good? Okay. I'm just gonna make sure that I can toggle here. It's not letting me go to the next slide there, Cheryl. Aha, bingo. And this is the development figured out or in its final stages and in progress. So my thing is, being a Wooster guy, is like, if in Rittman, yeah, we should be able to do it in Wooster, not an issue, right? So what do? If you want to do something, I'm in the private sector. So just like if I was fundraising at the chamber, what do? You start making some phone calls, meetings, sit down with people to talk about an idea, and you kind of test the waters. So I met with a number of community leaders, stakeholders, some philanthropists to talk about, hey, housing is a big issue. We should do a development. I think one of the major issues when we look at a big developer perspective is there's like this line, and it's still, we're breaking it down through the work of the city of Worcester, but people look at like Route 18, and south of there, they go, okay, so like, that's like, there's not much happening south of 18. That is softening, but I saw that through my years at the city of Worcester, at the chamber, is like, people think civilization almost dies off on south of 18, and that's not true. So when we talk to our stakeholders, just again, just like any nonprofit would do, it's like, hey, we should do this. This is doable. Why don't we do it? The response was, well, heck yeah, we should do it. Why wouldn't we? Let's gather a group. So we gathered a group and we established Wooster Development Company. And I won't bore you by reading that, but that's our focus. Our focus was not only for this project or future projects, people that want to have a little bit of investment on the private sector end, still some return, but also be focused on projects that are shifting the economy and driving things that maybe a bigger developer wouldn't look at or may look at 3 or 4 years from now. We don't want to wait 3 or 4 years. Why not do it now? So that's the focus of this group. Here's our team, Spring Run. Our team is obviously Wooster Development is the developer. Engineer is Data Resource Group. The cool thing is the head engineer is a Norway Bobcat grad, so I've known him for many years. I think it's really important when you come up with an initiative to have a close-minded community bank. We have so many that believe in the market, that believe in people, and the Commercial and Savings Bank has been phenomenal in saying, we see the vision, you guys have no experience, I'm not even sure you know what you're doing, but we're a partner with you. And they've since day one have been with us, which is awesome. Our general contractor is GE Baker Construction. The reason we highlight that is I can tell you that we probably could have gone another route from the general contractor. That's the person that's going to move all the dirt, put on all the infrastructure. There's bigger companies out there that are maybe a little bit more sophisticated than GE Baker, all due respect to them. But we decided that we were going to stay local as much as we possibly could. So we partnered with Nick Baker. He's the guy in the, I'll say the flannel or plaid shirt. and they're looking at plans last week. And then the guy in the middle is going to be the project manager for Ryan Holmes, is who we're bringing to town. So it's national scale, local focus. The site. Does anybody know where this is at? And I'll show you a different angle, but we're right across from the school. So where the softball diamonds are and the Alice Noble Ice Arena, there's 45 acres that dip down in. This is our first iteration of the development. It's just north of the Church of the Nazarene. And that's where this is going. We plan on putting 91 homes in. This is kind of showing you the parcel. Off to the right of this would be where the softball diamonds are. And this is our final iteration of the development. So there it is. So, you know, it'll, see, oh, it actually worked, holy cow. So we will be, there'll be 2 roadways in, there'll be 91 sites, and then more of the lots towards the Oak Hill will be smaller lots. And then once we get to the back, some of the lots will open up and be larger as well. And then obviously in the middle is some natural wetlands that we had to stay around, but it's something that our group, when we looked at this, we've learned a lot in our 1.5 years of putting this slowly together, and are thrilled to be partnering with Ryan Holmes on it. So the project again, 91 single family homes. Here's our optimistic project timeline. And I know that Merle will definitely laugh at this one and say, hey buddy, add another 9 months onto that one, Junior. June 1, we're looking at groundbreaking. So our entry drive actually is going in, and we'll break ground in June. July through August is utility infrastructure. The crazy thing is about this, folks, is that material availability could put the project on halt right away. And Merle, you know this is like anybody else does, but our contractor went to order ductile iron water line, and the vendor said, what do you think the wait was? 24 weeks. So that's 6 months. So almost 6 months. So obviously we're working with the city on trying to find available ductile iron for the project or alternatives. But that obviously could kick things way down the road. Optimistic that we'll have the roadway infrastructure in October. And if we can, then Ryan Holmes is building model homes, a couple of model homes where they'll have a showpiece in November and December. If we can get that done and actually lay asphalt, they won't stop construction through the winter. So it's really, really important for us to hit this hard and fast. And I know that we're dedicated to it if the material is there. Here's just some of the field. I won't even talk about anything on the Ryan Holmes end. I'm not a representative, but this is what they're bringing to the market, just so you're aware. I will say that I do know that ranging from 1,700 square foot to 3,300 square foot. So this is some of the feel of the product that will be brought to the market. And off to the right is just a sample of model home of how they will do that. So for those that are on Facebook, this fall, you'll start to see Ryan Holmes have a presence because they mine the heck out of social media. So you'll start to see feeds. And then here's just some of the stats. When we look at the price range, there, Ryan Holmes, again, just to talk more about the project, they do have an entry level, which is in the 190 to 240 range. Obviously, we didn't go that route, and that's something that we really think that entry market is simply Ryan is something that the community desperately needs, and we're looking to partner with them on that in the future. And then just it being so close in proximity to the Oak Hill Park we think is going to be a great future for the development. I flew through that because I didn't know how long that would take, but overall, I've been humbled by the fact that there's so much community support that goes way beyond the nonprofits and people that want to get engaged on things that I think it's definitely a network that we can utilize in the future to get certain initiatives done, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So with that, President-elect Long, I would entertain any questions that anybody has about the project.
just a comment about the access to Oak Hill Park, as you know, we have a little interest in that. I think if your company were willing to connect your park to the walking trail, paved, you'll probably find the city to be pretty interested in doing that. That would save people from leaving the subdivision, they could go direct to the park. Maybe Rory would even put up an extra sign.
Wheel and deal, that sounds good, man, absolutely. Yep, I'm with you. Any other questions?
Hi, Jessica, thanks for that information.
No problem.
Living in the neighborhood there, I'm very interested to see what goes on. Can you talk a little bit about the road infrastructure, especially at the corner of Oak Hill and Hilltown? And then I know there's a roundabout going in at Oak Hill and Holden, but
Yeah.
can you talk about that?
Kathy, thank you, because you completely saved me from, I flew through this because I didn't know how long it'd take. The city of Worcester has been a humongous partner in this. Without their support of the infrastructure component, this simply would not happen. So to them, kudos to Mayor Brennan and his team. I do want to highlight, and I'll get to your question, but when you look at this development going in, it starts at Oak Hill and it goes west, it falls off. There's no water, there's no sewer available. So that's where the city and Jonathan has spent hundreds of hours on developing the tax increment financing program that is going to benefit the entire area. And to your point, though, our development is key in driving revenue, which is going to improve Oak Hill, a roundabout at Milltown and Oak Hill, a roundabout at Oldman and Oak Hill, so we'll be going around and around, it's gonna be good. And then also support future expansion for that entire area from a sewer perspective, which is vital to any development. So your school expansion, parcels to the north, up behind Lowe's, all can be serviced by, for water and sewer, making additional sites available. So does our development benefit from the lift station and the sewer? The answer is yes, but there are a number of parcels in this area that will benefit as well. So thank you for the question, and City of Worcester, thank you for the support.
I'll make them all easy, Justin.
Thank you, Merle.
So how does it look different from the perspective of where you're at now, where you were before with jobs? Because my experience is most municipalities love the jobs, but some municipalities can get the jobs in place to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And the other one is, what have you enjoyed the most about the process, and what's been your biggest frustration with the process?
Thanks for the question. So first off, when I worked at the city, we always would say we don't make money on homes, and I think that stands true today. They're not a money maker for the city. What is the money maker for the city is income tax and jobs. And while we've done a heck of a job of building our industrial base and building our businesses, I think we've lacked a little bit in our housing availability. So that pressure continues as Scheffler makes decisions on their investment being either in Wooster, Ohio, or down in South Carolina, or if Purell makes that investment in Worcester, or if they make it in Stowe and Cuyahoga Falls. That human capital that we need to attract and support businesses will either allow us to grow as a community, or we'll take a step back. So partnering with folks like yourself, myself, Merle, which you've been a great advocate of this. He's been nothing but a professional on this project. Has been really, it's really honestly been something that I've really enjoyed. As far as the most difficult process, the EPA has been the most interesting, and then trying to figure out how our taxes are going to be realized when this goes from vacant ground to improved residential, and what our carrying costs are going to be in the future. That's really hard to do from a pro forma perspective, and I have leaned on Merle to give me some input on how he does it. So, yeah.
So speaking of the improved value, a couple of years ago, Representative Marion pitched a bill to not charge the improved value until lots sell. I went to the state house to testify on behalf of it. I don't know if most people know that, but as soon as those lots get developed and plotted with the city, Justin's going to start paying $700,000 a year on taxes. Whereas really no, how do you know what that value is when it's sold? They don't tax GM when the cars roll off the assembly line. But those are things that part of the hubbub out there about developers are spending more money. It's not going to be making more money. We have to raise the lot prices as we pay taxes. And that's a huge problem in the real estate way I see it. Those lots should not be taxed at improved value until at least they're sold, or at least give you a 5 or 7 year break. But that's another thing that prevents a lot of development from happening because of that carrying cost.
Thank you, Merle. And just to piggyback off of that, that's why people do larger developments in phases, right? And that's one thing that our group looked at, the phased approach, but we think the demand is there, we're confident, and our group said, not all in, let's do it. So we're doing it all in one phase and be done with it, which a little bit of a roll of the dice. At least the economy's strong, no fears of recession or anything. So we're good. What a great time. I enjoy the Dora, let's put it that way.
Just want to comment, that's like sure on $1,000.
Yeah.
What were those houses selling?
So good question. That's about level 2 of Ryan Holmes and those price points. Again, the market's moved so much, Phil. They were anywhere from 220 to 270. They're probably now 245, 250, 300 plus now, right? But that's the price points in which they were moving. A lot of younger families were buying those. And if you look at Facebook enough, a lot of single income families. Lastly, just on I do want to at least stress one thing because it's been brought to me. Ryan Holmes is a national home builder, and it goes against the grain here in Worcester. They won't seek outside financial, a lot of the banks won't get play on this. They'll use as many local contractors as possible. They're a prefab home, not custom like Weaver. So one could say their quality is less. The reason we went with them is we think that there's a price point, a market, and a scalability that this community needs. And based on where we talk about the market, a half a month, folks, of inventory doesn't support the industry that is currently here, nor looking to come here. So this is an investment in us as a community to continue to grow and expand. So no other questions. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah, appreciation. Well, this is all right. And appreciation for your time with us today. I was going to present you with this rendition of the rotary wheel with the 4-way test on that. Made locally by students of the Village Network. Then I was informed we're running low on these. And he has enough of these in his garage to build a house. Okay? So I'm not giving it to him. Well, we're pleased today with the guests we had. I'm not sure they came because of Justin, but we're just glad you're here. And we hope you can come back and join us again. A couple reminders, no new meeting next Monday. You'll all be drinking beer and having hot dogs on Memorial Day. And our program 2 weeks from now, if I spell this thing right, is our speaker is going to be Chef Edwin Trostowski from Edwin's Leadership and Restaurant Institute. That I hope I probably butchered that name with that, but that's the way it looks. And other than that, we stand adjourned. Thank you.